It's playful. Wowza. Let's go. Holy this thing goes. Oh.
After many months of waiting, at least 3, I finally got the chance to ride the brand new Pivot Mach 4 SL, and boy, do I have some thoughts on it. Even though my ride with it was very short, that bike left a serious impression on me. And today I wanted to share my thoughts, my impression during my first ride, and whether or not you should even be thinking about it or just skip over that and move to the next bike. My name is Grant, this is Roo Bike. Let's get into this. All right, in case you've been living under a rock or you're new to this whole mountain biking thing, and if you are, welcome. This is a good place to be. You're amongst friends. Let's do a quick group hug. All right, hugging's awkward, we'll skip that part. But at any rate, so who the heck is Pivot and what the heck is a Mach 4? Well, Pivot is a bike manufacturer who make, in my opinion, just absolutely amazing bikes. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a huge fan. I have 2 of their bikes. I love them. What is the Mach 4? Well, the Mach 4 is designed to be their cross-country, as they call it, podium-seeking rocket or missile or something like that. It's meant to be fast, it's meant to be efficient, it's meant to be nimble, it's meant to just blaze. But does it? We'll see, we'll get to that part. Settle down, we're just starting this thing. Let's dive into the weeds for just a minute. Now, as you're looking at this particular bike, but there are 2 variants of it. There is what's called a cross-country version, and then there's a World Cup version. The difference between those primarily are the travel. Front and rear travel in the World Cup gets reduced a bit. If you want to go crazy, you're like, I don't need suspension. Suspension's not for me. I've got a back made out of jelly fruit. You get 95 or 103 mil of rear travel versus the XC. You get 106 and 115. 115? That almost sounds like Trail 429 or a trail bike, right? What is 115 doing on a cross-country bike? Good question. Enough about the specs. We all have the internet. We can go look this crap up. What I want to share with you now is, do all of these things make a darn bit of difference? And what I have to compare it against, yes, is the first ride itself, but I also own the Pivot Trail 429, and I've been riding that for about a year and a half. I've done anything from races to endurance races to tons of just trail miles and that sort of a thing. So I have a good comparison in the Pivot family with a slightly longer travel bike that I'll be using as a reference for this. So what is it like to ride? When I first hopped on the bike, the demo bike, and as you guys know, if you've ever demoed a bike, it's not the ideal setup, right? It's any old group set. It's any old size. For example, I normally ride a size small bike. This demo bike was a medium. It was a different group set, blah, blah, blah. Lots of things different, but it was immediately noticeable how similar this demo bike with random bits and pieces on and a size that wasn't right for me, how similar it felt to my very dialed in Pivot Trail 429 that I have spent the last year and a half tightening up and tuning it up and making it just perfect for me. And it felt so very similar. I was almost like, what the heck's the difference? The bike came set on the 115 rear setting, and because I was really short on time, I only had about an hour with this bike, I immediately went back to the car, threw the bike on the rack, and I wanted to see what it took to swap this out. I wanted to see what 106 mil actually felt like as far as the rear travel went. I quickly went to work trying to figure out how to swap that out. And to be honest, it couldn't have been easier. You unscrew one bolt, you flip these little washers around, and you put it back together. I didn't read any instructions. I didn't look anything up. To be honest, I wouldn't have read the instructions even if I had them. That's not the sort of person I am. I just like to wing things. Did I notice a difference after I went from the 115, the longer travel setting, to the 106? Oh yeah, like immediately I noticed. I sprinted across the street and I was ready to ride the trails.
Wowza, it feels fast.
This thing was like one of those race horses that's just like, let me go, let me go, let me go. I was immediately greeted with a heel so I could test out that climbing and the pedaling efficiency. And boy, it didn't disappoint. It was just immediately apparent how good and hooked up this bike felt. I had some sore legs from riding the last, I don't know how many days in a row. all of that just quickly faded away because that pedal, every single push of the pedals was just like, this is doing something. It's so efficient. It just felt like everything I did was just magically translated into some sort of motion. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just that hooked up feeling. It just felt incredible. Now, all of the trails I was on, they were basically green. This was right behind my house. I just didn't have a whole lot of time to go exploring more technical trails. So, that being said, it was very quickly apparent how playful this bike was, even just on flats with a little bit of downhill grade to it. Man, it felt poppy. It felt so responsive, so playful, and surprisingly, the Fox Fit 120 mil fork, it felt so good. I don't know if that was a combination of the tires that were spec'd on that bike. It was a pair of Ardent Race 2.2, whether it was the way the fork was set up, the way the shock was set up, I don't know. But it felt so good. It was such a pleasure, so playful. The thing carved downhill, it wanted to go so fast. And as soon as the trail went up, man, it was just able to recover. I could slam down through the gears, and that thing just went. I felt like it was so capable, so much fun. I remember when I first went to the 429, it was from this guy, the Mach 6, which is a 160 rear end travel bike. This is a bigger bike. I was afraid that the 120 rear travel wasn't going to be enough. And man, I was so wrong. That 120 on the 429 is plenty. It's so good. And again, the same is true, moving from the 120 of the Trail 429 all the way down to the lowest 106 setting of this Mach 4. There are some differences, but you're not missing anything, and that's the great news. I was trying to find anything that was hard, and I found a section of this little rock garden during this uphill part. There were two riders in front of me. One looked like he had cleared it, the other was really struggling, so I had to kind of pace myself. I slowly rolled up behind him, not getting off the bike. I was clipped in, and I just progressed up through there slowly, waiting for him because he was in the way. The bike didn't miss a beat. It climbs like the devil. It's so fun, so playful descending, and so efficient all at the same time. I get it now, why they say that it's fast, efficient, nimble, and capable. All right, so there's my ride impressions. It's amazing. Some of the things that surprised me about the bike, one, it had an extremely flat bar on it. I have some issues with my hands. My hands go numb. I've got some serious carpal tunnel in my hand. The flat bar actually felt pretty darn good, which is surprising. I'm used to a little bit of back sweep. This bar had none of that, and I was very comfortable with it. Speaking of the handlebars, it had a SRAM grip, sort of a lockout thing, a remote lockout for the shock. That thing was slick. One thing I don't like on my current bike, especially when I have a water bottle in the way and I go to either lock it out or open the suspension up, it's kind of a pain because the water bottle hides it. This, super easy. You can just click it and it locks it. So recently I've had on a pair of the Dissectors on my 429. I moved over to the Recons. Thought those were good tires. Man, I cannot wait till those wear out. I'm definitely putting a pair of those Ardent Race tires on my as my next tire set. Love those tires. Also, the 106 mil, if I haven't already said it, was more than enough suspension. There, end of story with that. Next, the XT group set. It works. I don't know what else to say with that. I still prefer SRAM. But the XT mechanical stuff actually worked. It was surprising how quickly I got used to it. That would be one way to get yourself into this bike at a lower price point. It's a few bucks less than some of the SRAM offerings. Quite a few bucks, actually. So, there you go. Let's wrap this with some final thoughts. I feel like I've been yelling. I don't know. I'm sorry. To be honest, I'm so excited. I forgot how much I really enjoyed this bike until I was reviewing the footage for this video. It was so much fun. Even on the most tired legs, I could feel and appreciate and enjoy the efficiency. I'm one of those people, I like going uphill. So to me, efficiency is important. I appreciate and just get a kick out of that responsiveness, I guess is the best way I can describe it. What I mean by that is I push on the pedal, I get a response from the bike, and that response seemed to be effortless, right? the way that it was able to translate my effort into speed and carry that speed and move me, whether it was on a flat, whether it was going uphill, downhill, was amazing. I loved it. Is it more efficient than my 429? Yeah, big time. And in fact, I'm going to be honest with you. If I could trade my 429 this second for an equivalent Mach 4, hands down I would do it. My 429 has been an amazing bike. It's taken me through all sorts of different things. I could immediately tell for my riding style and what I'm into, the Mach 4 is a better fit. I really like that. Racy is the wrong word. I'm just going to say responsive and fun. I definitely want to demo some other cross-country bikes, more efficient bikes. So if you have any suggestions, hit me up in the comments what other bikes I should be trying when I'm finally ready to upgrade my Trail 429, which will be at the end of this season. What other bikes should I be looking at and trying? I already really like this Mach 4, but 3 pivots in a row, is that crazy talk? I think it might be. So, at any rate, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions, hit me up in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Grant. This is Roo Bike. Bye.